Hey everybody, it's Jay Ball of Blue Jays Outdoors. Welcome back to hopefully what's going to be another exciting episode to the 2022 ice fishing season. So in this video, we're going to be doing nothing but tip-up fishing. It's about 4:45. I got maybe an hour and a half of daylight left. I'm actually on a local lake by my house that I haven't ice fished in probably, 6 years. I ice fished out here one time for panfish. There's a lot of big northerns in here that I catch bass fishing. I do a lot of my bank fishing in this lake, so there's big bass and there's big northerns in here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk all about tip-ups. I'm gonna show you guys some tips and tricks. There was another video that I posted. I'll leave a link to that. It's gonna show up somewhere in here. I'll leave a link to that video as well. But what I wanna do is just show you guys my setup real quick, talk about the water depth I'm fishing and why I'm doing that. So before we get into this setup, Dylan Grubb from Extreme Outdoorsman, him and I have been fishing a lot together this past winter. And he's been doing a lot of research on, trying to find the biggest northerns in a body of water. And what he's found doing some research, watching some YouTube videos, is that the biggest fish, now this is coming from some guys that fish in Canada, or some content creators that fish in Canada, some of the biggest fish in the lake really live in that, I think, he said maybe 2 to 4 to possibly 6 to 8 feet of water. So, I came out here to this lake, I've got one tip-up set up in about 10 feet. I've got one set up in 6, and I've got this one here at 8. So, we're fishing this shallower water. I have been fishing the deeper water earlier in the year, but, if the guys up in Canada are catching giant northerns in this shallow water, I figured I'd give it a try here. So, as far as my setup goes, if you guys have seen my past videos, big fan of circle hooks. You guys can see that right there. So I forget what size this is. It's a Gamakatsu circle hook, but I need to figure out what size that is. Use a little bit of a split shot, just enough to sink the minnow down. I typically use live and dead minnows, but today I've only got dead minnows, and I'll explain to you why. But I use a 6-foot leader of fluorocarbon, okay, which is really convenient because I'm in 8 foot of water, and I need to just put the line down 6 feet because I want to be about 2 feet above the weed line. But I like putting bobbers on as well, especially when I'm fishing both deep and shallow water, because this little bobber is my depth indicator. So if I catch a fish at a specific depth in a hole, I can just reset it to that wherever that bobber depth is. Luckily, being in 8 foot of water, having a 6-foot leader, it's perfect because I only have 2 foot of water below the hook. The braid that I'm using is this ice fishing braid. I think this is like 50-pound test. I've got the Frabola, the thermal tip up here, what I really like. And that's the setup, really. It's pretty straightforward. A lot of guys use treble hooks, and I'm not a fan of treble hooks, but I practice a lot of catch and release. And I feel that with these circle hooks, the whole premise behind these is the fish swallows it. And then when you set the hook, it actually comes out and hooks them in the corner of the mouth. So it really reduces the amount of gut hooks that you could potentially put on a fish, especially if you're not keeping them. As far as bait goes, I've got a bunch of suckers here that I've salt cured, and I've actually soaked them in the Lure Lipstick original formula. So this is the Fear Pheromone formula. So this adds a ton of scent to these. So not only are they salt cured, but they've been cured in this Lure Lipstick product. So it's got the Fear Pheromones, it's got anise oil, and guys, I'm telling you what, these things stink. They're terribly bad. But again, the guys up in Canada, or the content creators up in Canada, talk about using dead bait. So they use both live and dead, but they typically catch their bigger fish on dead scented bait. So there's a big tip and trick for you guys. Hopefully we can get it to work here today. What I'm gonna do with this minnow is I'm actually gonna hook it so that it tries to hang level. I'm gonna hook it a little bit deeper in the spine because it's not alive, obviously. And I want it to sit somewhat flat. So maybe I need to move the hook a little bit farther forward towards the head, because you wanna kind of hook them that way when they're swimming so it keeps them upright. But yeah, there you go. So that's pretty good there. So we're just gonna drop this thing down. Man, you can already see the oil slick coming off of that minnow. I'm gonna drop it down, and I'm going to set this so the depth is right where that bobber stop is, okay? And it's just that easy. So push that down, set this on the tip up there, and there we go. So now we sit and we wait. So yeah, that's about as exciting as tip-up fishing can be. So like I said, I got about an hour and a half potentially before it gets dark. Gonna make some other content for you guys, but that's my tip-up setup. So keep your fingers crossed for me. Let's see if we can't get a few pike.